Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I can hear Gina guffawing right now. The definition of old is when your sweetie says, hey, let's go upstairs and make love. And you answer, you better pick one or the other. I can't do both. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Thank you very much, Kate Smith, and good morning, good morning. I'm Zeb Bell, and welcome to Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and all of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services. Get on the route service, get rid of your garbage. Call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. And now, guffaw, good morning.
I can't say what I was going to say.
Yeah, I know you can't. Your hands are tied. I just thought that would get you.
Oh, that did. Thank you for making me guffaw on this windy Wednesday morning.
I wonder where they ever came up with the word guffaw when it comes to laughing.
I'm sure I could Google it.
Yeah.
It's an old school, Latin term.
Guffaw.
Guffaw.
Yeah, but that one, that ought to ring true with a lot of old-timers out there this morning.
I'm going to have to call and ask Deanne which one it is.
Well, that's why single-floor dwellings are very important. Guffaw. Hey, do we have a pledger?
We do. We have a very special pledger today by the name of Randy Wynn, and then we have Mr. Michael Rogers on for that.
I know him.
You do?
Yes, he's got a rag in one hand and a electric tire changer, whatever the deal is called, in his other hand. Good morning, Randy. How are you?
Good. How are you? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a minute before you go. Isn't it funny tee-hee, that the timing of you calling is the day before your Seattle Seahawks are going to go down in a blazing defeat by my Green Bay Packers?
Well, Zeb, that's actually why I called you. I figured we could bet a steak dinner on the air for it. It's going to be a great game, and definitely looking forward to it for sure.
I already owe you a restaurant from last year.
That didn't count, so that was a tough referee call, so we null and void that one.
All right, I tell you what, you are on. I'm picking the Packers over the Seahawks tomorrow night for the NFL opener, and believe me, your phone is going to be ringing right after the game.
Okay, thanks.
And if I lose, I'm not answering mine.
Okay.
All right, Randy. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, good friend, good buddy right there, Randy Wynn at Tires West, Les Schwab. And they are super nice people. Thank you so much. Time for the weather. And the weather is brought to everybody by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And, oh, my goodness, they've got the do-it-yourself classes. I ought to take these. I need to figure out how to do it myself. Let's see, where's the hammer? That's a hammer, huh? Okay. Anyway, you can learn how to fix up your home and make simple home repairs. And on September 27th, they're going to have from 4 to 5 p.m., Cheney Flooring and Home Design will be having their first do-it-yourself workshop for kids and parents. Turn that kid loose with a saw. Are you kidding? Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun, great information. Call them for more information at 678-6945. And don't forget, they've got all your carpet, they've got all your tiles and hardwood and vinyl. They really can beautify your home. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. And now, here's the weather.
Going to be a nice week of weather in the Great Basin Intermountain West. How about that? Nice day for today. Sunny, 70 for the high. It's good football weather all week long. 43 for the overnight low. That'll continue all week, all the way into the weekend. If you're going to Seattle to watch the ball game, you got a nice night for opening night of NFL. 17-10, Seattle will be the final score. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
17-10. Listen to that, man. Somebody has drugged his coffee this morning. What's the matter with you? It's going to be Green Bay, 17-13. He's gone.
No.
Thank you, Michael. MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door, 678-6945. Yeah, I'm excited. Well, up to a point, because if Green Bay loses the first game, then the whole smile turns into a frown for the rest of the season. I am their number one fan. By the way, I also want to remind you about Daryl's Cleaners. Oh, my goodness. What a great, great place to visit. You know, I got to go down and get a trophy for myself as the sloppiest eater ever. I can spill anywhere, anytime, 24/7, 365, and it's always on a light-colored shirt, so you look like an Appaloosa. I'm telling you, I have a problem. From the plate to my mouth, there's a lot of distance there. And anyway, for all my stained-up shirts and everything, I take them into Daryl's Cleaners, and everything comes back looking so good, so brand spanking new. I go, hey, man, I didn't know I had that shirt. Anyway, you stop in today and check it out. They are the world's best cleaners, and they got prepaid gift cards, so you can really help somebody else sharing the knowledge of how to keep their clothes clean and not looking like an Appaloosa like I am. Anyway, Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Also, I want to remind you about our friends at SafeLink Internet. It is true, Idaho's number one choice for wireless high-speed internet service is from SafeLink Internet Service, the fastest internet speeds, period. I mean, they are great. You better order right now. You can start off on the program for just $19.95 a month. Holy cow! Call 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000. SafeLink Internet Services, serving you. Okay, man, I put it off, and we've had a little fun and frivolity, but now we got to get serious here this morning. And, wow, this is tough. My heart goes out to the Sotloff family. I cannot imagine, in this day and age, of when we are supposed to be basically globalized into a civil globe, the horrendous happenings of beheadings from these absolute destitute of any human feelings ISIS. I'm shocked. I'm taken aback. I talked this morning to a couple of people back on the East Coast that worked for various news organizations, one of which had seen the video as part of his job. And so horrendous. And it left this person, I'm not going to mention any names, but this one person has been on our program numerous times. And it left this person so audibly shocked when I talked to him. And I can understand why. We are right now very afraid of the situations now confronting us, the United States of America. Whether you want to define the word as not afraid, but anxious, disturbed, worried, rattled, distressed, all those words mean the same, and that we're afraid. I am. And if you're not, something tells me that you have not been following what's going on. You have not read or watched television or put yourself in the position of being knowledgeable as an American citizen, because we all need to be. Right now, we have no leadership. We have no direction to defeat and diminish, excuse me, hay fever season, the threats that are being made against us, the United States. Yesterday, there was the terrible, grotesque, hideous, just horrifying beheading of another U.S. journalist, Stephen Sotloff. It was beyond anything that I even want to discuss or go any further with. And there are other journalists that have been captured, and they may be sharing in the same fate, including a female journalist. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? What is happening? Is this administration doing anything? Did the president say anything before getting on Air Force One yesterday and going over to Europe? No. Has he done or said anything that is going to solidify confidence in this administration that something is going to be done to protect us, the United States of America, and all of its citizens? No. And please, I want somebody out there in Radio Land. We have some highly intelligent people that call into this program. Why can there be no verbiage from this administration saying that we are at war with the terrorists, we are at war with ISIS, because they have declared war on us, they have declared a jihad against us? And White House spokesman Jen Psaki yesterday would not say the word war. Rear Admiral Kirby with the Pentagon would not say we're at war. What is the matter with this administration? What is going on? There are a bunch of absolute losers and amateurs that are running the various departments, including the number one department in the Oval Office, Obama. British journalist Niles Gardner, listen carefully to this, people, please. British journalist Niles Gardner was interviewed yesterday on television and asked about his British Prime Minister versus Obama. And he came right out and emphatically said that Obama was weak-kneed, clueless, and indecisive. Weak-kneed, clueless, and indecisive. Wow. That is our President of the United States. Folks, I don't care if you're listening to Rush Limbaugh. I don't care if you're listening to Laura Ingraham. I don't care if you're listening to me. You've got to be aware that we have a major, major problem right now that's being thrust upon us. And I want to just throw this out to you because Deanna and I were talking about this yesterday. There are numerous fighter jets that, nobody knows where they are. And there are 11 jet airliners. 11 jet airliners that are missing. That nobody knows where they are. Think of the devastation. Think of the Holocaust that it would cause if all of a sudden they showed up on our incoming radar screens here to this country. Caller, I'm going to ask your patience. I have to pay some bills, and I'll get right to you on all of our calls. Stand by. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric. I want to remind you we're going to be over there next Thursday on September 11th for Hats Off to Farmers and Patriots Day. Yes, it's a big day, special day at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Next Thursday, the 11th, lots of prizes, company reps, delicious breakfast early in the morning by Chef George Mass. All the veterans receive a free breakfast. Just show your card. That is what's happening at Ramsey Heating and Electric. They're open 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they always provide warm winters and cool summers. Keith is going to be on the air with me. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we're going to be talking about that. Caller, stand by. Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, great selection of clothes. And by the way, maybe you didn't have time with all the fairs and everything else to go get little Johnny and Susie all decked out for school. Well, they've still got a lot of school clothes there. And winter's coming soon. You're going to need the jackets, the vest, the gloves, the caps, the vest, everything else. They've got a great, great selection to stay warm. Everybody says it's going to be a cold winter. And by the way, they got all your livestock feed, they got your dog and kitty cat feed, they've got it all right there with Mandy and the crew at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop over and see those good folks today. Caller, you were on the air.
Morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I'm watching this fiasco going on, and you know something? Maybe we should show some of this crap going on, these beheadings, because maybe some stupid people will wake up to the fact that we're under war with a terrorist group, and we've got a leader that's all he wants to do is play golf and chit-chat around with the mucky-muck.
I don't know, Al. And you and I... No, wait a minute. Hear me out. You and I have been dear friends for over 15 years, and we have chided and kidded with each other, but this is not a chiding and kidding situation. I don't know. I have said for a long time on this program that when it comes to our patriotism, I think that we should show the jets colliding into the Twin Towers and how devastating terrorism is to this country. But, Al, I don't know about the beheading of the grossness, the absolute terror of watching these beheadings on a video. I just don't know.
Well, I mean, it's just like back in World War II, Zeb. We finally woke up and we've seen them pictures of all them Jews laying there in piles of burnt bodies and stuff like that. All right, we maybe need something like that to wake us up again to the fact that we have not got leadership in the Senate. We have not got leadership in the House. We have not got leadership in the Justice Department. All we got, they say, well, our Army is the greatest in the world. Horse buckies, they've been cut down so far that they can't even fight no more.
Al, I am absolutely distressed this morning, and I've talked to many people. I don't think you know anybody that talks to more people around the United States than me that are in higher positions of government. As a matter of fact, I've even got a call in this morning to Catherine Herridge of Fox News, the terror expert that you saw many times yesterday talking about this, and I'm trying to arrange it with her schedule to come back on hopefully this next week. Al, I don't understand why we're so naive. I do not understand why we can't understand that ISIS terrorism is coming across the southern border. There's proof of that. They are already developing cells in various cities. What in the world is the matter with us as a country and the matter with this government that we can't protect ourselves?
Because we've got a media that all they want to do is say, oh, everything's okay, everything is rosy, don't worry about it. Well, it's about time you woke up, people, and start worrying, because you've got an organization going on in Washington right now. They're hell-bent on the election to put us American people down in the cellar where they can keep stepping on us. And I say the hell with them. Let's rise up and say you have had it out.
I'm for you. I mean, I'm on your side. I am absolutely distressed that we have no leadership. Obama never said anything yesterday. He got on the airplane and left the country. It's almost like he has resolved himself into being a nothing, which he was when he started, for the next 2 years of his administration. But Al, right now, you probably heard General Thomas McInerney yesterday. He's been on this program numerous times. He said that we could, if we wanted to, destroy ISIS in 90 days, but we've lost our resolve and we've let them gain control. Here is a terrorist group that Obama called the JV team, and now they're saying they're in control of the situation.
I know, it's a pretty good JV team, isn't it? I mean, it's ridiculous, and people, let's stand up and say enough's enough. Just say, okay, that's it. You're out of here, mister. So take your media that brought you into power on falsehoods and lies and tell the truth about it and get your butt out of that office.
Al, believe me, I'm beyond words this morning as to what we need to do, what we need for preparation, what we need for security. And here's the thing, Al, people here are very naive. I talked to a lot of people locally that said, oh, well, they'll probably hit New York or Chicago or L.A. What is the matter with you people? There are soft targets that have been developed all over the United States. It could be a multiplicity of many targets that affect everybody.
I know it. I mean, even over here in the West, we've got nuclear places over here like the INL.
That's right.
Idaho Falls and stuff like that. We got power plants and all that stuff. We got to learn to protect them. They were protected in World War II. You couldn't get next to me and knock a damn on account of the guards.
I just think that we, since 9/11, have been lulled into a completely liberal, lunatic, fringe world of thinking that everything is okay and the government's right on top of it. No, they are not.
That's right, because the media is nothing but putting out falsehoods and lies and making everything look rosy.
Thanks, Al.
Have a good one, bud.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I am concerned, and everybody should forget if you're a Democrat. I couldn't care less what your party affiliation is. Forget if you're a Republican. Forget if you're staunch Tea Party. I couldn't care less. Look at the flag. Look at the United States flag. And then think about what ISIS has said. That they want to absolutely tear us asunder and fly an Islamic flag over the White House. And what are we doing to thwart and kill these vermin? Really nothing. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness, so many wonderful things. Celebrate your birthday at Denny's with a free Grand Slam. Just bring in a valid ID proving it's your birthday and sit back and indulge. Oh, my goodness. And seniors, there's always great discounts there for you at Denny's Restaurant, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, 611 Overland in Burley. Thomas and Terry, the whole crew, dedicated staff. Service is impeccable, and you're going to love the food. I love the food. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner at Denny's Restaurant. 611 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget, too, Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness sakes, Berry Equipment and Rental. They're having an end-of-the-season inventory sale, and you can save a bunch of money on Coyote tractors. And they've got such a great big display of those Coyote tractors out there, and they got riding mowers starting at just $28.99. Really some fancy, good-working lawnmowers for you. You check it out. They've got super buys. They got the best of mechanics, the best of shops. They've got everything you need. Loaders, and they've got, of course, all the man lifts. They've got everything you're looking for to get the job done, whether you're buying or leasing at Berry Equipment and Rental. Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, Highway 30 in Burley, and South Lincoln in Jerome, serving you, Berry Equipment and Rental. Caller, here's the deal. I've got the Capital Press Ag Minute, and you will be coming up in 60 seconds. Stand by.
The Capital Press Ag Minute is brought to you by OnlyAg.com.
The Idaho Potato Commission has ended a business partnership spanning more than a decade with fitness and nutrition expert Denise Austin. Austin was chosen as the organization's official spokesperson in 2003. Austin starred in several advertising campaigns during the ensuing years, emphasizing that potatoes are loaded with potassium, fiber, and vitamin C and contain no fat and cholesterol. IPC President and CEO Frank Muir said his organization is prioritizing its Great Big Idaho Potato Truck, which has been traveling the country, raising awareness about Idaho spuds and the tour's philanthropic partner, the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women campaign. IPC is certified by AHA as being heart healthy. This is Hannah Brous.
To receive instant, exclusive, unlimited access to the West Agricultural News Source, register your account today at CapitalPress.com.
Thank you very much. And caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for your patience.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes.
When you say that we don't have a flag flying over our Capitol right now?
No, I didn't say that, Chris.
No.
The verbiage I said was the concern is that ISIS said that they would replace our American flag with their Islamic flag. And boy, they are off and running towards that venture.
I think that the president has it down in his office ready to run it up the thing.
Would you tell me?
Obviously,
would you tell me, Chris? Tell me something here. Are you not outraged? I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care. Are you not outraged as a United States citizen that this man, his administration, they haven't done anything to show any kind of public rebuke and absolute rebuttal to what the ISIS has done?
No, he just makes me so ill because he's not an American. He's not even acting like one. And when we sit on our hands, the rest of the world goes ahead without us, and I think they're getting kind of used to not having us along for the ride.
I think that's a very, very appropriate statement. They look to us for action. They look to us for retribution. They look to us for leadership. And British journalist Niles Gardner said Obama is weak-kneed, clueless, and indecisive. That is not going to stimulate anybody in the world as our allies to help us.
No. And I was so proud of Britain's, whatever his name is.
David Cameron.
But, yeah, he was just amazing. And, you know, for the British to get riled up like that, it takes quite a bit of you know, curing.
Why?
I just feel so sick.
Why is it, Chris, and you talk to a lot of people, you are very outgoing, you have run for public office, and so you know a lot of people.
I do.
Of the people that you have talked to, do you notice when you visit with them about this issue that there is a naivete in this area? There is we're protected because we live in the Northwest. Have you noticed this? It's driving me nuts that people think that it isn't going to be affected here.
Oh, I think that we have people in camps, possibly in our very own state, because we are so welcoming to everybody, and it is very worrisome. I just can't think of, you know, what could be happening to us before Christmas, and they would love to bring something down on us on 911.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
Around the corner.
You know, wait a minute. You just said something that needs to be elaborated on. You said Christmas. Now, some of the people, and again, I'm not going to be mentioning names on this because I have not got permission to mention their names. You would know who they are from television if I mentioned their names. But there was a great discussion that I had with a couple of people over the last couple of days that have said, wait a minute, maybe not so much on 911 because that was an Al-Qaeda type event, and this ISIS is trying to set their own tone. And some of the people that I visited with said, look out for Christmas time because they absolutely hate Christianity, hate anything to do with the Christ child and Jesus Christ as our Savior, and they said that may be the number one thing to look out for.
No, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. And look at, they're already trying to mess with our credit cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're going to keep us so distracted on things that personally hit us that we're not paying attention to what's going to happen.
Okay, but now pay attention to what's going to happen. Right there, that leads you back verbally to the White House. The president didn't say anything over this horrendous beheading, the second one, and there may be others to follow. The president is not showing leadership. The president is not saying anything about damnation and hellfire coming down on these people. And I'm going to throw this at you, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you believe that possibly the president absolutely is shining up to the Muslims because of his past upbringing?
I think he's one of them. Where is his family, by the way? He knows something. His family is nowhere to be seen lately.
Well, I can tell you this, and I've got the story right here. Tom DeLay, you remember him, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tom DeLay, headline, Obama is. This isn't a question. It's a statement. Obama is a Muslim sympathizer. Then I pick up another story. Parents of SEAL hero demand Obama quit over ISIS threat because he's a coward and lacks leadership. I mean, my goodness, these things are not making the standard ABC, NBC, CBS newsrooms, and you're not going to hear about this unless you listen to me or Fox or somebody else, because these are factual stories. People are questioning, where is our president?
Right, and it's, the thing about it is in the Beltway is one of the places where you're going to find out the least. And that's too bad. That's our national capital, and we should be hearing all kinds of things coming out of there.
Amen. Chris, it is always a pleasure to have you call. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Folks, are you not worried for your grandchildren, your children, or yourselves? You should be. I mean, Deanne and I talked about this last night. The ISIS and what they're doing and what they want to do, and when you talk about their devious and very evil plans, and there are something like almost 20 to 25 airplanes, jets, and airliners missing. And you think about that fear factor, and you think about the beheadings, and you think about the threats, and our president is AWOL, away without leave, on any comments or statements or anything to do about what we're going to do, what we are going to do for a strategy to kill these people. Where is he? Don't forget Snyder's Surplus. And they are not just an army and hunting supply store anymore. Oh, no. Please don't be misguided. They have everything right there. Mm-hmm. Brand new store, brand new merchandise, and the same great friendly service. They really, really care. At 112 South, 200 West of Rupert. Lots of furniture. One of these days, I got to hold myself to my own promise to get over there. I need a new office chair. I would like to get a new desk. I got to talk Uber into that. And they've got all kinds of office furniture, and they've got gun cases, and just everything. They've got banana-sized boxes of food for emergency situations. And right now, we should be thinking about that. And they're only $10. You better stop over and check it out at 112 South, 200 West of Rupert. Snyder's Surplus. Really, really nice people. By the way, if you're in the horse business and you know what you want as far as conformation, disposition, and performance horses, you know the place to go is Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch 26th Annual Production Sale, Saturday, September 13th, starting at 10 a.m. at the ranch, 1994 South, 100 East of Oakley. They are offering a lot of good weanlings and started 2- and 3-year-olds, and they got the best of bloodlines behind them in the quarter horse industry. That is not brag, that is a fact. Okay? And they're going to be reducing the size of their herd this year, and I'm telling you, you better get up to that sale. Call Jerry at 670-3833 or Linda 862-3402, or go to the website www.zollingerquarterhorseranch.com. Big sale, Saturday, September 13th. You be there. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, back in the old days, when we were at war with Britain, everybody fought. everybody was a soldier then, weren't they?
Most everyone. Some people stayed on the farm. Some people didn't go and pick up a musket, but most people did get involved.
Yeah, but what I'm wondering, our National Guard is not really that big, but if we had volunteers, like I would volunteer myself to become like a vigilante or whatever, when we have one of these threats, to be able to go forth and thwart the enemy. Part of what we have to do is to put the fear in them. That's what Ronald Reagan did when he was president. He built up the Army and the Navy and everything, and he says, I mean business. You come here, you're going to get hurt.
Let me ask you a question there, Keith, and think about this. Can you or I instill fear in people that have an ideology that thinks that fear, killing, death, mayhem is their way to get to heaven?
Yeah, and that's wrong, and we know that. But if we shoot one of them rotten rascals, we're going to be put on trial and convicted and go away for a while.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, we got to know who our enemy is. We got to know who he is, and somebody that comes into our community, if they're different, maybe we ought to do a little more background checking and, you know, be a little more cognizant, because we think we're a little old burly here and we don't have anything to worry about.
Bingo. Keith,
it's a perfect place for ourselves.
I absolutely respect that, and I'm going to come right out and say it. And, there's going to be people that are going to cringe. There are people that are going to run to the corner and they're going to cower and wring their hands when you say the word profile. And you know what, Keith? Maybe now with us under attack, we need to be more profiling and find out who in the heck these people are. You said it. I agree with it.
Well, and it isn't just the color of their skin. It is, I've been around Middle Eastern people for quite some time, being in the car business, especially in California, because all of them migrated to that area, and they would get in the car business and they would do things that were just totally off the wall, like turn back speedometers and, lie about cars being wrecked and all this kind of stuff. They have no morals.
Well, all I can say,
I don't have any morals either.
What I want to say this morning is I'm not going to lump or categorize everybody into the same mold, but I am going to say this, that we have to be cognizant. We have to be aware, we have to be wary, and we have to be prepared, because I'll tell you something, Keith, I am very concerned that our government has dropped the football on the 1-yard line, and we have to take care of it ourselves.
Yeah, I know of one gentleman that comes from Iran. He came over here to go to school at Utah State, and now he owns the West Valley GMC store, and I would probably trust this man with my life.
Yeah, there are many people that we are not trying to discern or segregate against us, but what I am saying is now more than ever before, we have to be more aware and more wary, because thanks to our open, porous Swiss cheese borders, we don't know who's here.
And because of their darker skin, we can't tell whether they're Mexican Americans or just plain American.
Well, there has to be a discerning. Yep, there has to be a discerning.
Tough deal.
Yeah, I agree. We have to be very, very cautious right now, and if that offends somebody, that's too bad. Got to run, Keith. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Want to remind everybody about Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the Square in Rupert. Oh, what a great place for breakfast, lunch, or supper. Open Monday through Friday, 6 to 6, Saturdays, 6 to 2. And don't forget their bakery. I love bakery items. Wedding cakes, cookie bars, homemade bread, and delicious cinnamon rolls. Love her cinnamon rolls. Unbelievable. Great word. Unbelievable. Great. Sophie's Chatterbox on the Square in Rupert. You stop in or call them at 436-0354. We'll take some more calls in just a moment. It's time for the weather. And I get a chance to talk to somebody else over in that Rupert area this morning, and that's Mad River Laser. I am going to be making up, this is a news flash, I don't think I've mentioned this too much, but it's really the truth. We're going to be making up some new Zeb at the Ranch caps and sweatshirts and T-shirts, and we've had so many people ask for them, and the place I'm going is Mad River Laser. You better believe it. And, oh, by the way, she's got buck knives this hunting season, and she's got a great selection of buck knives. And if you get a buck knife and you want it engraved, free engraving if you buy it right there. Stop in. That is Mad River Laser with Nicole and the rest of the folks. Really nice people. Right on the square next to the Youth Ranch office right there in Rupert. Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Here now, Michael Rogers Weather.
Hey everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. A very nice day for today, wouldn't you say, chaps? Should be very nice and sunny throughout much of the day. Temperature about a high of 70. Overnight low in the 40s. And more of the same tomorrow, just like today. So you have a bloody good day and enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
What happened to Michael? All right, thank you, Michael. Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Stop over and see Nicole and the crew today. And they've got all the custom hoodies and the T-shirts, everything right there at Mad River Laser. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. He should be slapped in the mouth. Who? Well, I'll tell you. He is running for Congress, and he is a black Democrat by the name of J.T. Smith of Alabama. And I'm going to stand behind this. Oh, he's talking about violence. Yes, I am. J.T. Smith should be slapped in the mouth after saying such a disgusting and amateur and damning statement yesterday, quoting, saying, the Republicans are worse than the ISIS. Now, if a Republican, let's say like Rand Paul or anybody of that magnitude, would have said, well, the Democrats are worse than the ISIS, all heck would have broken loose, and the news media would have covered that and gone, oh, they're terrible people. But here is a black Democrat, J.T. Smith of Alabama, that makes a statement like that, especially on the day that we see the horrendous beheading of another American journalist. And you question the sanity of this man. Now, I hope that this man is defeated in the November election so bad and he's humiliated so bad that he doesn't run for any office except possibly cleaning out the city kennels in Alabama. But that was ridiculous and so amateur and disgusting, but they get away with it. They get away with this. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the things that really bothers me is with Obama's lack of doing anything except standing up there and ranting and raving for unions, is that I was reading a story by an ex-CIA agent, and by the way, now that I mentioned that, I forgot to tell you something yesterday, and I apologize for this. You know, my good friend, former CIA operative Brian Hawthorne, is going to be on the Glenn Beck Show, and then also going to be on the Neil Cavuto Show. As a matter of fact, he is in New York today as we speak, taping for those two segments, and he's going to be calling me tomorrow, and then we're going to arrange to have him on my program again next week. Well, another CIA agent has said that the ISIS, Islamic State terror cells, are, I'm quoting this man now from the story, already in the United States, and some of them have entered by crossing the Mexican border. The CIA agent's name is Bob Baer, and he was on CNN, and he was talking to Jake Tapper, and he said people who do this study are very alarmed because they know that these people have already crossed into this country using the southern border. And I read through this story by this Bob Baer, and Baer told CNN's Tapper that he expected the killings after the U.S. airstrikes helped hinder ISS efforts in Iraq, but he said they have no choice in their minds but to strike back, and he said, I think there'll be many more. Wow. Wow. It's scary times out there, folks, and I'm not trying to get on the air and frighten you. I'm not trying to get on the air and make you cringe in a corner, and I'm not trying to make you fearful of going anywhere or doing anything. I just ask that you be cognizant of what's going on. You be aware. If you're traveling someplace, watch people. If you see somebody do something that is out of the ordinary, report it to the authorities. Don't wait. Don't be hesitant. Just go do it. If you're at an airport and you see somebody do something that is a little bit out of the norm, get up and go tell the gate person, hey, see that guy over there? You see that lady over there? This is what they did, and as a concerned citizen, I want you to check it out. And if you don't, I'll raise holy heck over it. Just be cognizant. And yes, I think that we need to be in preparation for possible chaos in this country. I know that there are scoffers out in the audience that sit back and they twiddly-dee their thumbs and say, oh, come on, Zeb. You're talking about storing food and water and having a little extra cash and having an energy plan, having an emergency plan, talking about extra clothing. Come on, you're scaring the people. Yep, I am. Because I honestly think that is very smart to have certain things ready at a quick grab and available to you. And another of which is a weapon or weapons of certain choices. Yep, I am. I am very concerned. I don't remember who said it earlier this morning, but of course with what we have here in this state, with the INL and other potential targets that are in the Northwest, we should be very concerned. We should not be naive. This isn't meant as a scare tactic. It's meant as preparation. What do we send our kids to school for? Preparation for the future. Maybe we need a little preparation for the future right here in another regard. You think? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's interesting that you'll only get calls from the naysayers and those that, you big nut, what's the matter with you? You're scaring everybody. Well, go ahead and call me what you wish, but call me. Don't forget 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, the best of tires for your kind of driving. All the different tread designs, and they've got like the Eclipse tire, all-season traction, 70,000-mile warranty. I mean, that tire will go and go and go and go and go and go. And the Wildcat AT2, all-season traction, smooth ride for your pick-em-up trucks. Hey, I'm telling you, they've got all your tires. They've got the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. When I talk about brake service, I mean they've got the best in brake service. They really know what they're doing. So please, stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy, good old boy, right there on Overland in Burley, serving you with your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, Zeb. I think what we need to do is we need to rise up and, because the government is not going to help us. So I'm thinking what we need to do is just, every state needs to set up their own patriots and, get ready for what's coming.
I would suggest this, and if I'm wrong in saying this, you can correct me or the powers that be can correct me, but I would think it would be smart for various citizens to contact their sheriff's department and say, hey, in case of this or in case of that, what can we as private citizens do to help help you with any work or resources you might need on behalf of the sheriff's department to kind of make sure that we're protected? And I think the sheriff's department would appreciate those calls.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be the people that's going to have to take care of ourselves.
I can't argue that. And I'll guarantee you one thing. I think I am halfway prepared for myself. I'm not going to say what I've done because why should everybody know? But I'm going to say this. I am prepared to protect myself, my family. I'm prepared to take care of myself over an extended period of time, and I urge others to do the same.
Yeah, I agree. But I think, with a threat like that, it's going to be the whole state, everything. Be ready for whatever comes, and then that, because trying to do it alone, it's not going to work.
I agree.
It has to be.
I think what you're saying is something that I would agree with, that there has to be kind of a compilation of the neighborhoods. There has to be a gathering of friends and neighbors that share the same fears, and everybody's got to kind of act on the same page. It's kind of like I got your back type attitude. Would you agree with that?
Exactly, just like that.
All right, sir. God bless you for your call. Thank you so much.
God bless you.
I think the man's right. I really do. And I know, as well as I'm sitting in this old antique chair, which it is, that there are those in the audience that are going to call me on my cell phone, which I will give the number, 312-2976, and they're going to go, you're just being theatrical. You're just trying to hyper up the situation. No, I'm not. I'm being realistic. Because I don't trust these people. And I don't trust what's happening with our lack of leadership with our government heads. Talking heads, maybe. Getting something done, absolutely not. We're going to have to probably protect ourselves. I am going to talk more about this with a very dear friend of mine at 906 that lives in Colorado, Doug Johnson. And Doug always has an interesting perspective as to what's going on or not going on in the news. And I'm going to hit him with this. And then at 9:30, another very interesting gentleman that's very, very big in the cattle business and moved his operations from Texas and Colorado back to Ohio, of all places. And that's Daryl Dickinson. He's going to be on at 9:30. And then at 10:06, Dr. Adrian Arp. So all of this and much, much more coming up this morning on a Wednesday already. What happened Monday? Well, it was a vacation day. I keep forgetting that. And so your calls are always appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We'll be back in 6 minutes. And good morning, and of course our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia struggle. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia struggle. Western Way Services.
I want to talk just a little bit about getting ready for fall, and when I say get ready for fall, if you haven't called Western Waste and got on their route service to pick up your garbage, whoops, you're not ready for fall. You better call them at 734-6969. That number again, 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. They do a great job. Let them work for you, okay? Western Waste Services. Also, excuse me, hay fever time. Don't forget our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, and Joel has been so easy to work with and so nice and amenable to helping us on various projects and everything. Absolutely the nicest people with very flexible hours serving you and your family. Please don't forget they always serve families with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. And they know, sir, during such a difficult time when there's the passing of a loved one, that you want certain expectations of service to be met and exceeded, and they will absolutely do that. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Thank you very much. Really nice people. Boy, that fell right into the next guest. Really nice people. Good morning, Colorado's Doug Johnson. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Worried.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, I am. And I'm just going to say this, and I think as a Christian guest that you are, and I also, we're both on the same page. I am very, very worried as to what's going on in this country, or not going on in this country, with a complete lack of leadership and an administration that acts like they're playing a Halloween game of hide and seek, and who's got the pumpkin? Nobody seems to know. This is a mess.
Well, I'm assuming you're talking about ISIS.
I hope you're right in assuming, yes.
Okay, well, it is a mess, and what we have is a combination of things. We have, actually, it is a lack of leadership, and yet, in a sense, it's not, Zeb, because this man's ideology, the progressives' ideology, is if we leave them alone, they'll leave us alone.
Yeah.
Now, he did state this morning from Europe, where he is this morning, that they're going to take action and get ISIS under control. What they don't understand is you can't control people like these. You can't box them in. You must destroy them. As Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty fame said yesterday, I believe it was, he said we either need to convert them to Christianity or kill them. And he's right, because there is no other option with this group. CNN reported just yesterday that Jake Tapper over at CNN reported that inside sources he has with the government say ISIS, they already have cells in the U.S. and they know it. So we face some real danger here. It's a very scary time.
Okay, now what you just said, I'm not trying to play one-upsmanship. I'm just going to let you know that last hour I reported on that Jake Tapper story, and the exact words were, some have already entered from Mexico. And our blasé attitude, our naivete attitude, our open borders attitude, it's kind of like this administration doesn't care. Now, what was said yesterday, though, by the president is another thing that disturbs me, and I want to run this by you. You know I'm right on this, Doug, because it's gone all the way to Benghazi, it's gone all the way to any heinous criminal action that has happened. The President Obama has stood up and has used the same phraseology every single time. We will not forget. We will hold them accountable, and they will be brought to justice. It's a revolving turntable recording of everything the same, and nothing ever gets done.
Well, nothing gets done because what he says means nothing.
That's right.
He just says things to appease people. It never has anything to do with reality or truth. The man does not know how to speak truth, and I sincerely believe that. I'm not just saying that because I don't like him. I'm saying it because it's a fact. I have said on many a show across this country, and I've had some hosts get pretty upset with me. You don't, because you and I are so closely aligned in our views, Zeb. But I think if the man's lips are moving, the chances are he's lying.
Yeah.
That's simple. We do not hear truth from him because he's not a truthful person. And so we are stuck with leadership in this country that is telling the people one thing while other things are going on. And this is one of the greatest forms of danger for a nation, is when you can't even get truth from your leaders.
Okay, now I'm going to throw another sentence at you, and I don't know if you've had a chance to hear this, but you know who Tom DeLay is from Texas. And I don't know if you've had a chance to follow this or not, but this is a story from Tom DeLay that I think is going to get a lot of play. He basically came out on a headline and said, quote, Obama is a Muslim sympathizer. And then he went on to say, Obama was raised as a Muslim for most of his childhood, so he is a Muslim sympathizer, and so that is also acting against us. That's from Tom DeLay, Doug, not me.
Yeah, I've heard a number of people say that. I hadn't heard Tom DeLay had said it. But the facts are what we do know about his past and what we have to ferret out about the president's past is usually between the lines because he doesn't give much information about his past out. But we do know that that's very true. He was a Muslim as a child. He was raised by communists and a good portion of his young life in Muslim countries. He had to be a Muslim to be admitted to the school he was in over there. We have documentation that shows he was listed as a Muslim. He has said that the most sweetest sound he's ever heard is the sound of the call to Muslim prayer in the mornings. So there's clearly a sympathy, and even though he says he claims to be a Christian, we know he's not, and that becomes a whole separate discussion. But the fact is his actions show anything but support for Christians or Jews or anybody else. He clearly leans towards supporting Muslims, and he has allowed further infiltration into our government by the Muslim Brotherhood at the highest levels of his administration. Now, let me say, he didn't start it. It started under the Clinton administration, and the Bush administration had some of it too, but it's gotten really bad in his administration to the point where his administration banned the use of the term radical Islam, banned the idea that Muslims could be involved in terrorism. They can't even use this in training materials with law enforcement and such. So his administration has taken it further because I believe Tom DeLay is right. He is a sympathizer. Whether he is a Muslim or not, by Muslim law, he is, because you cannot leave Islam. But even if he's not, even if it's just because he sympathizes because that's what he grew up around, it doesn't matter. He clearly sympathizes and empathizes with the Muslims.
You know, one of the things that really bothered me was yesterday. I was watching the press conference, Doug, and after you answer this, I've got to take a short commercial break. I was watching the press conference with White House spokesman Jen Psaki, and then also later with Pentagon spokesman Rear Admiral Kirby, and neither one of them, when pressured by various reporters to say, are we at war with ISIS, neither one of them would use that terminology. What in the world is going on? Why are they so afraid of really coming up front and saying, yes, we are at war with terrorism?
Well, they won't say it because, number one, Obama took the official stand that the war on terrorism is over, so he won't admit otherwise. And number two is, I am sure they are under great fear when they work in an administration that is so heavily supportive of Muslims and of Islam. And so I'm sure they wouldn't dare say it if they value their jobs.
I want to come back and talk to you about British journalist Niles Gardner right after we do this break, so stand by. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on the air with Doug Johnson. We'll have more in just a minute. Don't forget, Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes. All the carpet, all the discounts, special discounts on tile and hardwood and vinyl and laminates, and schedule a free in-home design consultation, and check on their do-it-yourself classes, one of them starting on September 27th from 4 to 5 p.m. They can help you with the beautification of your home. Really nice people. And that's Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door and give them a call at 678-6945. Okay? And also, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Summer hours open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and they've got all the 2015 models coming in now, getting them out of the boxes and ready for you. You'd better believe it. Dirt bikes, Can-Am, side-by-sides, and rebates on a lot of the 14 models. And I'm telling you, they've got all the accessories, too. You want to head for the hills? They've got everything you need right there at Let's Ride. And, oh, by the way, the service department, Brad and the rest of the crew, they can fix anything and keep you going and rolling right there at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop in and see them today. Doug, and this is really, I thought, interesting. Prime Minister David Cameron of Britain has been very forceful, has used very forceful language in regards to ISIS, but our president has not. And yesterday, British journalist Niles Gardner came right out on our television and said that Obama was weak-kneed, clueless, and indecisive. Woo! And that from our ally.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's good that he said that. We've seen a number of European allies start to say things about America. Angela Merkel from Germany said recently that we can't trust America to solve the world's problems anymore. And we're starting to see Europe take action and other countries take action in how they will work in a post-America world, because they realize America's days are over as the leader of the world. And so they have to take action to protect themselves, and they're starting to do that. Now, Obama's trying to chum up with NATO this week again, but I don't think it means a whole lot to them, because they realize he says one thing and does another. But all that said, I think it's important. I think some of the things David Cameron has done the last few days have been very good. Unfortunately, I think they're possibly too little too late, because they allowed the infiltration of their country to the point, of Muslims, to the point where now their whole culture is impacted. And I'm sure you saw the story in the last couple of weeks where in England, the number one name for new baby boys is Muhammad. It's also true in Norway now, too. Europe has been infiltrated, and they're being attacked from the inside, and they have even a bigger problem than we do.
Doug, as you follow the news like I do, and I guess I could call myself, and you also, a news junkie, we have to in our line of work. There is another factor with ISIS, and their just absolutely heinous lack of human quality whatsoever. With the beheading of another journalist yesterday and the fear factor that more will be beheaded, there is a globalization fear right now of ISIS. They have somehow garnered the respect, and I use that word loosely, that they can take over the world with their terrorist activities. We found out that they have access to fighter jets and also 11 mysteriously missing jet airliners. Does that concern you as much as it does me?
Well, it does. In fact, I heard Michelle Bachmann, Representative Michelle Bachmann, this morning on a talk radio program talking about this. And, of course, she's a member of the Security Committee. And she said, what she was able to talk about, she actually said it's 12 airliners that are missing, which surprised me because I had heard 11 too. But she said 12. But anyway, she said that the fears are a couple of things. They may not be able to get them to American airspace. We may be able to stop it if they tried to head here. But the fears go towards our allies. And, for example, she said from international airspace to the point where they could attack the oil fields in Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia would have a 90-second warning before this could happen. So they're on high alert right now. The other nations like Israel and stuff are on high alert because of this, because it's not just the thought of them, and this I hadn't thought of this, Zeb, but she said it's not just the danger of them using them like flying bombs like they used airliners in 9/11. It's the danger they load them up with terrorist soldiers, and they fly into an area of land, and they go in and start attacking the public in those areas, just like they have in Iraq, where they're beheading people and doing things like that. She said, the fear is tremendous. And then, of course, then add to that, like you mentioned, the fighter jets they got when they took over that air base in Syria, and they, a lot of people said they won't be able to fly them. Well, they captured some of the pilots and such, and they're making the pilots train them how to fly them and use them. So this is a highly sophisticated group, very, very well funded, and I mean they're getting millions of dollars a day off the oil fields they've captured. They captured a bank and got $500 million there. They've got huge amounts of resources. So it's very scary, and this is why it's important that we must destroy them. And with that, I'm going to say one more thing that I suspect you may have a reaction to, and that is that I said yesterday to somebody that we have an obligation before God to destroy them, to wipe them off the face of the earth, to kill them. I believe it's a biblical obligation, Zeb, because that's why God has the death penalty. The death penalty was when somebody does something so heinous that we're not able to deal with it in this world as humans. So God says, you send them to me and I will deal with it. That's what the death penalty is about. And these people are guilty before God, and they deserve to be sent before Him for instant judgment. And that's what we have an obligation to do as a people.
Well, to get the rise out of me that you predicted, yes, you will, because these people, and I use that word people sparingly, these are vermin, these are the lowest classed human beings on the planet, they are evil. That's the word that I would use, evil. And that's evil personified. And I just can't think of another word that best describes them.
No, there isn't. In fact, of course, we talked about it last week with a blog post I wrote saying that very thing, that they are evil. And, we don't, in our society, we don't want to use the term evil anymore. And I think it's about time we resurrect that term because it's a very real term. And in some situations, some people are evil, and we need to say it. I personally agree, with Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Rand Paul. Both of them have said we need to destroy ISIS. Ted Cruz in a very creative way this weekend when he said we need to bomb them back to the Stone Age. I don't really care how we get them off the face of the earth, but we need to get them off the face of the earth. We cannot bring them under control. We cannot bring them under pressure from governments. They must be eliminated.
I said earlier the first hour, Doug, and I want you to tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I said that we all, I don't care if you live in Colorado, I don't care if you live in southern Idaho, I don't care if you live anywhere in northern Michigan, up in the upper peninsula, up by Escanaba. Everybody right now should be prepared. Everybody should be prepared for the possible chaos that could happen with these terrorist groups. They should be prepared possibly for all of a sudden some shutdowns in the country on food, water, energy, etc. I honestly think preparation is one that everybody should be aware of and do something about.
Well, I think preparation is critical, and certainly at a time like this, I mean, it's smart to be prepared anyway, even though the Department of Homeland Security classifies anybody who has more than 7 days of food and water supply is considered a potential domestic terrorist and needs to be investigated. But setting that aside, and I really don't care that they say that, I think it's just stupidity on their part. I live between Denver and Colorado Springs, and these terrorists have just announced some targets they think that they should go after, one of which is the Air Force Academy, which is right in Colorado Springs, probably 20, 25 miles from me. The forest fire on the west side of Colorado Springs 2 years ago was the largest in Colorado history. They have never been willing to say what caused it, but there is quiet scuttlebutt in the community because there is the Air Force Academy and 3 military bases in Colorado Springs, and the scuttlebutt has been that it was possibly terrorists started because Al-Qaeda had published literature saying they should attack the western U.S. with forest fires, and then the following year, last year, the one that came right near me was even larger. And so, whether those fires were part of terrorism or not, I don't know, but now they're officially naming the Air Force Academy as a target out in this region of the country. What it says to me is that no area is safe. We must all be on guard. They also just published information about how to attack the electrical grid and the water supplies across the U.S. So this is critical stuff. We need to be very prepared and very aware of what can happen on a moment's notice and be prepared to take care of ourselves.
Doug, I'm not trying to pin you down on this because you're one of my dearest friends, but I think it's something for the audience to consider. On a danger scale of 1 to 10, and America being the target, we're in the bullseye. Where are we right now with this threat, a lack of leadership, and more contemporary threats from some of our old evil villains, China, Russia, etc.? Where are we on the danger scale right now?
I'm going to answer it with maybe what may be a roundabout answer, and don't mean to be Zeb. Britain this past week raised their danger level to severe, their terror alert, which is their second highest level. They go from 1 to 5. I don't know what our scale is exactly, but using your scale of 1 to 10, I would say we're at least at a 9 and probably at a 10.
Oh, my.
I think we are at a critical stage. The danger is very high right now.
Doug, I wished I had more time. You are one of the dear guests on this program and a dear friend. And quickly, give us an upbeat on update. Did you ever try to say a word and you keep coming up with every other variation except the real word you're looking for?
Yeah,
give us an
I hear that quite a bit. So.
Give us an update on your new book and also your Horse Sense blog.
Sure. Well, HorseSenseBlog.com has details on the books. And it is more popular than ever. I just wrote a piece this week. I wish people would go read at HorseSenseBlog.com because President Obama has just been named in a lawsuit along with John Kerry and Hillary Clinton and UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon as racketeering and laundering lawsuit charging them with conspiracy in providing aid and support to terrorist groups because they sent funding through methods to Hamas, which is a known terrorist group against Israel. And they're being sued for this by Larry Klayman from Freedom Watch. Mm-hmm. And those who don't know Larry Klayman has had tremendous success at the Supreme Court. He was the first attorney to ever get a U.S. court to name an American president as guilty of criminal conduct, and that was Bill Clinton. So this is a very serious suit, and I read about it this week. People should read that. The books, there's descriptions of them there. I know we don't have much time, so I won't go into much, but I think they're well worth a read, and especially at a time like we're at in our country today.
And by the way, Doug has been very inspirational to, figuratively speaking, keep kicking me in the posterior to get my book finished. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it.
So that's okay. You know, I think you probably got my email a week or so ago. My wife's comment.
I did.
Your audience, so make this public because I'm going to add more pressure to you. You write really well. When I read your newsletter each week, I get a smile, I get a kick out of it, I get angry. You raise all the great emotions, and you say things in ways that are very unique to you. And I've started sharing those with my wife, and she has said, he really needs to write a book. He's got a gift. So you need to get the book done, Zeb. People are waiting to read it.
All right, my dear friend, and I mean that. Doug Johnson, Colorado. Thank you so much, Doug. Look forward to next Wednesday. Take care, my dear friend.
Zeb. I look forward to it.
Thank you. I think a lot of that, man. I really do. Hey, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, Christine Pickup wants to know if you heard that. You know, I'm telling you folks, I met with this lady, and a hearing is really, really important. And in my business, you know, without hearing, boy, I'm lost. Hearing loss is not a part of aging. No. It's not an age problem. So if you're having hearing loss, you better schedule an appointment at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology, at 1218 9th Street, Unit 2, behind the Minidoka Hospital, across the street from the emergency room. Number to call, 312-0957. And yesterday we found out that she has the shooter plugs. Yes, you can hear the animals while you're hunting, but you'll protect your hearing from the gun blast. And she also has special earplugs for band members, too. Check it out. And that, of course, Mount Harrison Audiology. Number to call, 312-0957. Did you hear that? There you go. Also, real fast, before we get our next guest on the phone, I want to remind you, yesterday we talked about recliners at Lee's Furniture Floors, and I love my recliner. I call it my geezer chair. I love to go in the evening and turn on the news and go, whoop, flip back, and then about half an hour later, you got to wake me up. I love my geezer chair. Well, all the chairs, all the furniture, all the sofas, everything is available at Lee's Furniture Floors and more. Yes, sirree, they've got a great big selection of recliners, power recliners, and they got all your sofas and your love seats and the carpeting, rolls of carpeting for the beauty and just absolute comfort of your home. Stop in and see them today. Lee's Furniture Floors and more at 459 Overland in Burley. Yep, they're waiting right now to see you. Stop in and say hello. We're going to go to the phone line right now, and we have a gentleman on the air that I have the utmost respect for, and I'll let him give you the background of his operation, his cattle operation. He lives in Ohio, and a lot of people go, Ohio? What in the world? Cattle operations in Ohio? Good morning, Daryl Dickinson. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Everything's good here in Ohio.
You know, Daryl has been a very, very dear friend of mine for a long time. We email back and forth and everything. Daryl, give us just a quick thumbnail sketch as to your career in the cattle business and where you left and where you picked up residency, and you love it there.
Well, we raised our family in eastern Colorado, right east of Colorado Springs. And we were plagued with government leases, droughts, blizzards, every kind of thing that can make it havoc on cattle. And we had irrigation, and our water tables dropped, and different things happened. The city bought the water out from under us, and so we started hunting water. We tried to go to Mexico to find some property. We actually ranched in Canada for a while, and I floated around the nation hunting a place, and we finally found Ohio in 1993, which I believe is the best cattle ranching state in the nation. And the good thing is nobody agrees with me, so nobody's trying to compete with me, and that works nice.
You know, when I think of Ohio, and I got to be honest with you, Darrell, I have been all over the United States, and I have never landed a plane in Ohio and had myself get off and check it out. For some reason, it's been a flyover state for me. Tell us a little bit about the state of Ohio and why it's so appealing to you.
Well, number one, it has the right amount of rainfall. Our average rainfall is 41 inches. The soil's not too sandy, not too adobe. It's about right. We have some of the highest quality corn growing area in the world in different parts of Ohio. We're in the Appalachian foothills here. So when we came here, the taxes were very low, and now they've tripled that, but they have probably tripled your taxes too, so your land taxes. But our elevation is around 900 feet. We have a long-growing season. It's healthy for legumes and nutritious grasses that are economical to grow cattle. It's everything a rancher would want.
Okay, now
the ranch is divided into 71 pastures, and 70 of those have running spring water.
Wow.
One has a lake, and we have no wells on the ranch. It's all spring water, even for our feedlots and our other facilities, all spring water.
Now, you raise Texas Longhorns, and you're going to be having a big open house there for a lot of people to come in from literally all over the world and see your ranching practices there in Ohio. Tell us about that, if you would.
Well, that'll be the 11th of October, and it's our Customer Appreciation Day. We throw a nice feed, and we bring some speakers in, and we're committed to help our clients that buy our bulls be profitable and get their businesses established on a solid basis. And we tell them things that they won't learn in ag college and probably won't read in any ag publications, and do a lot of demonstrations and just have a good, friendly day. And that's about what it amounts to. We encourage all of our clients, but a lot of people come that are just checking to see if they like what we're doing or can pick up a little something. So everybody's welcome.
Darrell, you have been a spokesperson for the livestock industry and what you think needs to be done, and you're also, correct me if I'm wrong, on the board of directors for RCAF, and we've had the CEO on here many, many times of RCAF. What are the major problems right now that you see facing American cattlemen if they're going to stay in business?
Well, I think one thing that's really easy is, and what we do here, we own the cattle from conception to consumption. And, the hog people understand this, the chicken, the turkey people do, but the ranchers just can't figure it out. And their cow-calves, their backgrounders, their wheat feeders, they divide that thing up from conception to consumption in 6 to 10 parts. And every time they divide the parts up, it messes the business up. So everybody's got to get a one-mind attitude about they've got to go from cow-calf to retail sales all in one store, all in one office, one place. They got to take it all. There's a good profit if you take all of that. If you give 8/10 of it to somebody else, there isn't a profit. Mm-hmm. You've got to get out from under government leasing of land. The government is a horrible landowner. The policy with RCAF is that RCAF believes there should be a thought-out liquidation process, and the federal government should get out of all ranch land ownership, just in a systematic way, sell it out. They don't know how to operate ranches or deal with ranchers, so that's the only long-term solution there. If you're leasing from the government, just consider your days numbered you need to get deeded land in a place where there's 35 inches or better rainfall. Those are just some simple things to do.
Now, Daryl, you, of course, have been very critical, and I've enjoyed having you on the air and talking to you also privately about our trade agreements. And I just don't see, tell me if I'm wrong, where representation for the United States is really trying to make the best in trade agreements for our producers. Do you agree with me?
Well, our USDA and APHIS they're all about jobs and expansion and enforcements. They want more and more regulations and enforcements and fines and penalties. For instance, I exported 18 embryos to Australia last year, and by the time I got all of my enforcements qualified for and USDA signed and made me do all kind of jump through all the hoops, I had $2,800 in cost of documents to ship 18 embryos to Australia.
Wow.
Now, granted, 80% of that was caused by the Australian government, but our government made no effort to negotiate with Australia to simplify some of these redundant enforcements. So our government just rolls over and plays dead anytime any country puts stipulations on export. Our people make no effort. It's like a flea market. You know, we give you this, we take that. They trade around stuff, and they're not looking out for business. Commerce is not a thing that the government is interested in. When it comes to us doing commerce.
When you say that the commerce is not something they're interested in doing at all and doing it properly, that leads me to a dovetail of the country of origin labeling. I have been very outspoken that there should be country of origin labeling. Everybody should be aware at the supermarket where this product came from, and if it has a red, white, and blue label, help support the U.S. producers. But there's many that want to do away with that. Talk to us about cool, if you would.
Well, it's right now, if you were asking about the ISIS people, should we do away with them or should we keep them? And all the ISIS people would say, do not do away with us, you know. So anybody that's making money in an industry wants to keep it going. The people that are losing money, they don't want to keep it going. So the housewife, you go down on the street and ask a housewife if she would rather buy a can of food product manufactured in the United States or China. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to know what her answer is. She wants to know where it came from, and she wants to read it on the label, and she wants to know that USDA checked, and that label is accurate. The housewife all wants this. It's only the marketing and the traders, and the people that have been bought. If you have a membership organization and your membership dues are very high, and Tyson or ConAgra or somebody is a member, and you have to support their needs, you will support their profits to import from countries without labels. And you can tell where people's minds are for how they act on that one subject. If they're getting paid, they support no labels. If they're not getting paid, it's easy to figure.
Mm-hmm. Daryl, what about this administration? I have to ask you this. 6 years, we've seen some devastating things happen with this administration that I think are going to be extremely and possibly permanently hurtful to the citizenry of the United States. We don't have an energy program. We have a lack of response to foreign countries with a no foreign policy. We're seeing the likes of which is happening right now today, as a matter of fact. What are your thoughts about 2 more years with Obama's administration?
It's going to be a lot of golf, I think.
And could there be more elaboration than that?
Oh, there's no place to start or end. Somebody said the other day that it's like as if Obama was taking a tourism tour through the White House and somebody says, "You be president," he says, "Okay."
Yeah, yeah.
And that seems to be about the dedication. This guy's just having fun, and he's just stacking up a nest egg to spend somewhere. It's interesting where he'll go to spend the money that he's earning, but he's probably not going to like the United States when he gets through with it.
When you look at speeches...
It's important everybody realize that he is Muslim, and he's very strong on all communist and socialist programs. So think of him as a Muslim communist, and then go from there. And it all kind of falls in place.
When you look at the overall picture, though, and I've got to be optimistic, I have to be, and I believe you are also for the future of your business and your family, etc. But you look at 2 more years of this man, and then you look on the horizon past that as to who possibly is going to try to right the ship, so to speak. What are your thoughts about 2016 and beyond?
Well, don't think of it as a difficult thing to right the ship. It took Ronald Reagan about 60 days to clean up the messes, and we've been told that these are unsolvable problems. Once we caught about 6 of our kids into something that I won't describe on the radio, and they all denied it. So we took them out in the yard and told them to put their hands up on the side of the car, and us and a couple other parents took turns with belts, and we went around the car spanking the kids. We couldn't figure out who was guilty, but we knew some of them were guilty, so if we spanked them all, we got the right one, and we know we got them. But anyway, they held strong and wouldn't tell, but that's what we got to do. They're all worried about dropping a bomb on some city of terrorists, and because there's 3 kids in an orphanage next door, they got to get over that. They should move the orphanage. We've got to get serious, and our country still has the ability to protect this country if we had any kind of normal leadership. It is not hard to correct, but you can't correct it by just denying and walking away to the golf course. You got to. It's like eating an elephant. You just eat it one spoonful at a time, and then you look up one day and the elephant's gone. But this is not all hard as they say it's hard. It wouldn't take a brilliant person to do it. Just a normal person could clean up the mess.
Absolutely. Daryl, final thought here. I want to go back to American agriculture and the livestock business in general. There are those that are really afraid of what the environmentalists are trying to do to shut down various aspects of agriculture. What are your thoughts? Will American agriculture be able to survive and still flourish in the next decade?
Well, this is all just big government. Ben Carson says the way to be able to survive our government is each time one government bureaucrat retires, don't hire back another one to replace him. And eventually they die off to where the government gets down to a size that's efficient. And that's the deal. We just had this growth in government. And if you're on a board of directors in an association and you want to grow the government in any phase of government, you just got to vote against growing any government. They're a cancer, and whether it's your local trustees, your county commissioners, your state representatives, you've got to not let them grow the government. They are all thinking the same way. They're growing their government and growing their salaries.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is fascinating, and I'll throw some numbers out at you if you got a couple minutes.
Yes, go ahead.
Right now, all over the nation, ranchers are being told we need to double the beef checkoff amount from $1 to $2. When every animal is sold, every cow you got to pay $1 to the government beef checkoff tax. Mm-hmm. And that's supposedly for promoting beef. Well, years ago when this started, every time you turned the television over, you would hear Robert Mitchum on a commercial saying, beef's what's for dinner. And you knew what the checkoff money was going for. And you drive down the freeway, and there's huge billboards everywhere, beef, what's for dinner. And now all that is quiet. It's all going to salaries now, but they don't do it for $1. They need $2. Mm-hmm. So Texas just voted for $2. Ohio just voted for $2 every time a cow is sold. So we're looking at millions and millions of dollars going to the beef checkoff. And so all of a sudden beef prices are high. So the rancher says, oh, wow, this is great. Well, the beef checkoff people said, man, we did that for you. We made these prices high by the beef checkoff. We're helping you. We're helping on exports. We're helping get the prices up. But the fact is, several things. Number one, all these droughts all over the country have taken the numbers down so that we can produce beef cheaper in the United States than it can be exported in with the high price of diesel on the ships and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, but we're still importing 18% of the beef that we eat this year, and they say next year is going to go up. We're going to import 4 or 5% more next year. Wow. Just to feed our nation. So the beef checkoff says, oh, we got to help with the price of beef. Well, it's like the old fellow that the Indian who was doing the rain dance, and he just saw the weather report on TV. You know, timing is everything on a rain dance.
There you go.
And timing, the cattle market's up, so all of a sudden the beef checkoff people says, man, we're doing that for you. But they're promoting exporting of beef when every time we export a boatload of beef to Japan, we have to import a boatload of beef from Australia to feed the people because we exported beef to Japan. It's an amazing thing, and it's fascinating to see who's taking credit for it.
Right.
But it's the politics that's floating above our head, and some people are making a lot of money, not on the cattle, but in the manipulation of all of this stuff.
Absolutely. I just want to say thanks to a dear friend, Daryl Dickinson, back in Ohio. And one of these days, that plane is going to touch down back there, and I'm going to come visit for a while. Daryl, thank you so much. God's blessings, and I hope you have a wonderful fall. Thank you so much.
Good for you, Guy. Appreciate what you do.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much. Great guest, Daryl Dickinson, back in Ohio, and he said it is the world's best cattle country back there. There you go. Thank you very much. Time for the weather, and the weather this hour with MichaelRogersWeather.com is brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls, with our old buddy Reese Widmeyer, the manager. The Sportsman's Warehouse, of course, the great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. Everything there in the store. I love going in the store and just going through and browsing in the hunting department, fishing department, camping department, boating department, ATVs, electronics, knives, you name it. It's all there at Sportsman's Warehouse. Stop in today. Here now is Michael Rogers Weather.
Hey everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. A very nice day for today, wouldn't you say, chaps? Should be very nice and sunny throughout much of the day. Temperature about a high of 70. Overnight low in the 40s, and more of the same tomorrow, just like today. So you have a bloody good day and enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
There you go. A cheap imitation of Stuart Varney or somebody. There you go, Michael. I like that. Sportsman's Warehouse bringing you the weather this hour. 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. The great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I know a young lady, a brunette, that is going to, as soon as this program is over, she is going to be jumping in her four-wheeled wonder, and she is going to be going at above or beyond the speed limit to get to the dentist.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I am in such pain. It's like irradiating to my inner ear.
You know, I feel for you. I want everybody in the audience to feel for you. I want everybody to say a prayer for you because you're going to a location that I absolutely am fearful of. I get down on my knees and tear out my hair and rip my shirt open and gnash my teeth. The dentist!
You know, honestly, I don't mind going to the dentist, and especially on a day like today where the pain has pretty much got me in tears. I welcome that appointment, and honestly, I'm looking forward to it.
What happened?
I don't know. It's an old root canal issue, I think, maybe. I don't know what happened, but, the left side of my lower jaw is swollen, and the pain is so bad that it's radiating into my inner ear. I can't eat. Even talking hurts.
Oh, and I'm probably guilty of trying to make you talk on the air. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. I still have 2 more shows left to do.
Oh, but it just happened overnight?
No, this has been ongoing since Saturday.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
And this is my philosophy, I'm thinking, because mouth pain is not unusual for me, and I can usually tolerate a high amount of mouth pain. I was hoping that it would just kind of go away. Well, it's not going away. It's getting worse. And so that's telling me, Gina, you need to get your butt in there and have this looked at. And especially now that it's just getting more swollen, I've got to go.
I tell you what, my experience with dentists, and I know I'm going to offend some people out there that are dentists that I have seen, you know that I am worse than a pre-teenager. I cower in the corner, might even wet my pants because I don't want to go, and I'm scared of them.
I used to be, but ever since I was a kid, because I've just always had, not the greatest teeth. So I've been to the dentist, more times than I can count. And so to me, it's not that big of a deal. The one thing I don't like is the shots. And so I have to look away or close my eyes when they're doing the shot part. But after I'm numb, buddy, go for it.
The thing that bothers me the most is you get settled in the chair, okay? Mm-hmm. And they lay your head back, and then they give you the shot, and they got both hands in your mouth, and then they start asking you questions. Now, we're in a business where you have to talk, and you have to be listened to and understood. How can you answer a question with somebody's both hands, right and left, in your mouth?
It's pretty much that same way. But the dentist that I go to, he actually has a television above, up on the ceiling, and then headphones, and they're like, Jeannie, you can sit back and watch TV or whatever. And I'm like, because all I can hear is the drilling going on in my
There
mouth.
you go. That's exactly right. And I've been in there, and I've told the dentist, I said I want the sound up twice as loud as anybody else in my ear sets, because I do not want to hear that drill starting up.
Yeah, and especially when they hit like that.
Oh, when that thing shortchanges itself and it comes to a grinding halt in your mouth, and you kind of look at the dentist out of the corner of your eye, and you catch a very concerned look on his face. Your first question is, and that means, what in the heck are you doing?
Exactly. What was that? Or I'm like, And he'll be like, it's okay, Gina, don't worry about it.
And then they spray that stuff in the corner of your mouth, the water, to rinse it out, and they do it at an angle, and invariably it's going to run down your cheek, into your shirt, everything else, soak you wet, and then they say that they're going to put the suction deal in there, and it draws your tongue right out of your head.
Or it sticks to the side of your cheek.
Holy smokes, that thing's got like a pound per pressure per square inch. It's like 9,000 in your tongue and the whole side of your face. The skin gives out, your eyeballs poke out 17 inches, and then you go, that's enough, doctor.
And then after all of that, they want you to rinse out your mouth and spit.
Yeah. And then you say, I can't spit right now.
This also reminds me of the Bill Cosby skit that he did about the dentist.
Yeah.
My lip is on the bottom floor.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
My lip is on the floor.
I love it. Well, listen, even though it hurts to laugh, you're doing a good job.
Well, thank you. I just took like a handful of ibuprofen. Ibuprofen, oddly enough, has seemed to be the only thing that will dull the pain enough to make it tolerable.
Oh.
And so it just started coming on really, really bad about a half hour ago. So I just just took another handful of ibuprofen. So hopefully that will carry me through until about 1.
Carry you through? You'll probably carry the car on your head going to the dentist.
I probably will, too. Okay. Come on, get it done.
Oh, listen, we've only got an hour to go. Hey, by the way, I got to pay some bills here real quick. When you think about life insurance, health insurance, or retirement planning or employee benefits, always think of our friends, the professionals, Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call for an appointment to make sure that you're covered. Make sure that you've got the pros working for you. 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Please get a hold of them today. Everybody wish Gina well, and she's going to be heading for the dentist right after this program. God's blessings to her. We're going to take a little break and then come back with a dear friend of ours, Dr. Adrian Arp, in the studio and talking about Obama and the mess we're in. Don't go away. I'll be back in 6. Oh, good morning and welcome back. Hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch. Brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Oberlin and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them 734-6969. Before we introduce our guest, I also want to tell you, listen to this, great eating today at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Today they're going to have, and Gina will probably correct me on this, croquet monsieur sandwich with vegetables, choice of potato, and super salad. Is that right, Gina? You are the epitome of knowing everything in the menu. Is it croquet monsieur?
Croquet monsieur.
Croquet monsieur.
Yes.
Okay. You got to say it with a little bit of a yeah, like that.
Yeah.
And it's at the Chadwick Sports Grill today. Just go in and just very eloquently put a white towel over your left wrist and say, I want the croquet monsieur. Okay. At the Chadwick Sports Grill. Now we probably chased all their business away. Oh, my goodness. Good morning to a dear friend, and nice to have you on the program, and that is Dr. Adrian Arp. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. Good to be here.
Nice to have you on the program. Dr. Arp, as we look at the world situation today and what's going on in this country or what's not going on in this country under the so-called, and I could probably get arrested for blasphemy for saying this, leadership of Barack Obama, leaving the country, going over to Europe, and not even making a statement about the horrendous beheadings of another United States journalist, Stephen Sotloff. What are your thoughts about this administration and the lack of etiquette, manners, professionalism? I'm really appalled by Barack Obama.
We have an absentee president, an empty suit. I think Clint Eastwood pretty much summed it up.
I do too.
Yeah, the empty suit president, but he's been a Muslim sympathizer, like you said in the last hour, with Tom DeLay and other CIA operatives and so forth that come out. He's definitely, he was trained as a Muslim and so forth. But, it's just the destruction of this country has been on all levels economically. One of the things I want to discuss this morning that's not even on the radar is happening while we speak, is the negotiation for these trade agreements. I'd like to start out this morning by just reading a couple sentences from a letter to the editor I had several months ago. The reason the U.S. became the envy of the world was that under our God-inspired Constitution, people were free to dream, free to act, and free to create their own destiny. Now, due to unconstitutional bureaucratic regulations, litigation, and excessive taxation, we find the U.S. becoming a third world nation. Yeah, socialists are deliberately destroying our constitutional free enterprise system to create a totalitarian United Nations world government. I just want to start with that because it's kind of a summation of what's going on. And these so-called trade agreements, NAFTA, was spouted as going to create all of this prosperity. Under NAFTA, we have lost over 42,000 manufacturing plants.
Yeah, that's true.
And 75% of those employed at least 500 people. I mean, we're talking about big operations, not just a mom and pop deal. And consequently, that's millions of jobs have gone overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Now we see the Burger King thing.
Yeah.
Because of, again, regulation, taxation.
Adrian and Gina, I'm getting just a little bit of feedback with Dr. Arp and myself. I don't know if that's something that can be adjusted over there or what. But everybody criticized Burger King and some of these other companies, but really, in essence, they are in a business of being free entrepreneurs, trying to make a living and create the best and most prosperity for their shareholders and everything else. So you can't really put the blame on them.
No, we forced it. Like I say, it's not only the bureaucratic regulations. These were older figures, but the cost of a new car is basically 25% of that is due to EPA regulations.
That's right.
I'm not saying that some of them are necessary, but a lot of them are just totally bureaucratic nightmare.
I agree.
And of course, fuel costs, as I've said here, when I came here 43 years ago on the 16th of September, fuel price on South Washington, when I worked for Roger Brothers Seed Company, I went by it 4 times a day when I was working there at the plant and the research department. 23.9 cents a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
What was the power? Was a penny and a half a kilowatt. We're now 9 this summer. And of course, most of our power is hydro still, but with all the bureaucratic regulations, the relicensing that have to go through and so forth, they run these costs up. And now, of course, the war on coal and so forth is all bringing into place. But these so-called free trade agreements have very little to do with trade. They have mostly to do with economic merger and political merger, excuse me. There are 2 more bad trade agreements being negotiated right now. One is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would be all the Pacific Rim countries, including Japan, and they're very much against it. They're rioting over there, and without China. The Trans-Pacific an investment partnership. The investment part's the one that would create a North American Union and merge it with the EU, the European Union.
Right.
And these are being negotiated by our State Department. And the worst part about it is that if our Congress doesn't stop the trade partnership, I'm trying to get the right terminology, the Trade Promotion Authority, TPA,
right.
That's the letters, TPA, Trade Promotion Authority. What that means is the same thing happened with NAFTA, with the Korean deal, with all these other trade agreements. The executive branch, once they negotiate, the Congress either votes it up or down. They have no amendments, no way to, and most of them aren't going to read it, as they didn't with NAFTA. They read the summary and it looks like, apple pie and motherhood and peanut butter on sliced bread. I mean, it looks that good. But they don't read the fine details, and like Nancy Pelosi said, you got to read we got to pass it in order to find out what's in it, and that's exactly what happened with NAFTA.
And we're paying for it right now.
Big time.
Big time. All of our trade agreements, we were on the air last hour, and I don't want to bore the audience about getting too politicized on what's happening, but I want to remind everybody that we had Daryl Dickinson on last hour from Ohio, and a big cattleman from back in Ohio, big cattleman, and very much in favor of the original, or the country of origin labeling, so that the housewife can make the decision and everything. Very much in favor of world trade agreements that favor us. We take care of us first. And we've lost, for some reason, why have we lost pride in the United States so that we want to put ourselves first?
Well, that just it. As I started out, this country, there's never been a nation in the history of the world like the United States. Our Constitution, when the Founding Fathers, after the Revolutionary War, the War for Independence, they finally were able to get themselves together. They had the Articles of Confederation. And, of course, they realized they didn't have any taxing authority. They didn't have any army. The states were fighting between themselves because they were each charging tariffs, so there were boundaries like each state was an individual country and things like that. So they put together, in the heat of the summer, no press, the U.S. Constitution. They went there with the idea that they were just going to revise the Articles of Confederation. Well, they threw them aside. Now they're wanting to do that again, and that's another point. But when they come out, and it was finally ratified, and of course you read the Federalist Papers by Hamilton, Madison, and Jay, you will find they were letters to the editor in the state of New York defending and promoting the U.S. Constitution. Well, Zeb, once the states ratified, and I guess Rhode Island decided to abstain, and they never did really vote for it, but once it happened, within 2 years, the world was saying, what is happening in the United States of America? I mean, the prosperity here was unbelievable. People were able to keep the fruits of their labor. Sure, they were paying taxes to pay for an army and so forth, but the freedom to dream and to act and to keep the fruits of their labor, they had private property, they didn't have the British quartered in their homes, and all of that kind of stuff had disappeared. And like your last guest, the last half hour of last hour said, if we got back to the principles that made this country great, if we would actually get back to the U.S. Constitution as it is printed right now, not as it's interpreted by these liberal judges and so forth, as it was intended. And we know exactly what they mean.
Well, he said that I asked him about the duration, if we could withstand the next 2 years left in the Obama administration. And he said, you know something, Zeb, it would be able to be fixed a lot quicker than what you think. And then he mentioned that about Ronald Reagan and 60 days of taking care of things. But we need, I don't care where you want to go this morning, the number one thing that I think we're lacking in this country right now is leadership. Leadership. I mean, leadership to lead us, whether it's by the words of the Constitution, whether it's by our existing laws, whether it's with a foreign policy, whether it's with anything economic. I don't care what it is. We do not have any leadership.
Well, just look at the Republican Party. What's their agenda for the fall election, which is 2 months away? No, they don't have one.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not a real big fan of Newt Gingrich, but at least they had the contract with America, and there were parts of that I didn't really totally agree with. But at least you see what happened when the people saw a vision, and man, they just run the Democrats right out of town.
You know, and this is interesting, too, because we've talked about it. Some people shy away from it. I won't. I will say, and I think you'll concur with me, that both sides, whether it's the Tea Party or the Republican Party, they really should be able to put their toys down for a few minutes and start acting like younger adults instead of little children. There is so much power to be gained and so much to be lost if they don't. Would you agree?
Well, here's the whole deal. The Tea Party people, and I know a lot of them, I don't claim to be a member of the Tea Party per se. I'm a constitutionalist. And I can tell you what I hear is that the establishment Republicans, if they don't get their way, they're just like a kid that throws a tantrum. And that just happened at the state convention. They threw a tantrum, literally. They were outvoted, and once the vote was taken to keep the state officers the way it was, they didn't want to go for that. So they decided to hold their own meeting, and then they got a judge, which, you know, I'm sure was influenced by some of the people in our local county here to hold this meeting. I said it was to have it, and so now we've got a new leadership and so forth. And I can carry that has really, in the state of Idaho, ruffled a lot of feathers.
Okay, but
unnecessarily because what was wrong with the leadership we had? There really wasn't any, because we had people in the establishment, and we had Tea Party people in that leadership.
Okay, so what do we do to get it back together? Seriously, I've volunteered on this program to have both sides come in here to the studio and sit down and look each other in the eye and say, hey, this happened, how do we make it better? And then when I've called and asked people to come on the air, they go, well, I don't think that they'll talk to us. I don't think that we'll do that. Why? We're acting like spoiled kids.
Well, I can guarantee you, from my standpoint, the people I know, the Tea Party people would be glad to. They are always been working with the GOP establishment. It's the other way around. I mean, it's got to be a two-way street.
It has to be a two-way street, but they've got to realize there's too much to be lost. When you start hearing people say in the newspaper or on this program that out of spite they're going to vote maybe for the Democratic candidate, that's not going to gain anything.
No, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater for sure.
I'm not going to back up on that. That's the way I feel.
Well, and I am too. I will give kudos to Otter for his stand on the wolf situation and several things. There are some issues that I do have with the governor. He was a tremendous congressman, and I don't know, when he came back here, there's been some things like the exchange deal, allowing this Common Core to kind of come in here. I know a lot of it has to do with the money. A third of our state budget now, folks, comes from the federal government. So, we balance the budget, and we're one of the few states that do, but we're doing it with federal dollars, and that's really dangerous, because you get the federal dollars, you get all the controls that come with it. So, in my appraisal of looking at both things, I know people on both sides of the GOP establishment and Tea Party. I agree, they need to get their act together, but I can guarantee you that Tea Party has bent over backwards, literally, to join with the GOP establishment. It hasn't happened the other way around.
Well, and I'm not going to point the finger, and I'm not going to mention names.
And I'm not either.
And I'm glad you won't. But the thing is, you know as well as I do, if you're looking at a opportunity, which 14 is an opportunity, to regain power and also right the ship and show people real leadership value, it's not going to happen if they don't get together and try to make amends on problems that they could find some kind of a working relationship.
I agree, and I don't know, I don't have the solution to that. You've asked me if I have an answer to that. I would say, from my perspective, the GOP establishment has got to humble themselves a little bit, and basically, almost to the point of apologize for what they did after the state of convention.
Okay, that's fine. Let's get it done then. But on the other side of the coin, Adrian, and I don't think it's going to take much coaxing from you to agree with me on this, we're looking at a liberal left, that is falling apart at the seams. I don't think, when you look at the national polls as to whether they like Obama's foreign policy, whether they like him, whether they like what he's done on the economy, whatever the poll is, he is way down in the bottom of the pool. There's a lot of water on top of him.
Oh my gosh.
And how could anybody look at the Democratic platform right now with any common sense and say that's where they want to go and that's who they want to reside with? And that's why I'm saying right now the Tea Party and the Republicans have got a great opportunity, maybe the last one, to get together and show leadership.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the platform, because that was a good. The platform is a great platform in my opinion, but there are people that didn't have enough votes to change the platform in the state of Idaho. On the GOP establishment side. And this has been the big rub. We've got the platform. It's a great platform, in my opinion. Let's just go with it. We're not going to have another convention for 2 years. Let's go with it and support it. But there are some that are just saying we need to do away with the 17th Amendment, the direct election, and all of these things, get back to the gold standard. And I've got people that are saying, well, why do we want to do that? Well, because our currency is going down the tubes pretty fast.
It is. So, as is everything else.
But getting back to the in-house economic problems, Obama, not only is his foreign policy lousy, if there is a foreign policy other than helping the Muslims. That seems to be the case. He certainly doesn't like Israel, that's for sure, at least from his State Department. And but you just look at the destruction of our jobs and these trade agreements and so forth that they're putting forth. Under NAFTA, it's just been disastrous. We had, in 1961, we had no trade deficit. Now it's $500 billion. You know, and so people, we've got to get informed, and that's why I've been a member of the John Birch Society since 1968. And it's a great patriotic, pro-constitutional, pro-American organization, jbs.org. And Zeb knows that the newamerican.com, they just had an issue come out on embarrassing predictions about our global warming that's not happening. Yeah. We're going into global cooling and all this kind of stuff. And it's just, you know, we've got to become informed. If you're not informed and you just... I've got a friend that doesn't read anything, just listens to the news and all of a sudden says, oh, all these things can't possibly be. I said, where do you get this information? I said, you don't get it from the mainstream media, that's for sure.
There was a letter in the paper, and I don't know if you caught this or not. It's one of the smallest little letters they've had to the editor in the Times News in a long time. And I want to read this letter to you. It's so short and so brief, and then I want you to comment, because this lady, I'm assuming it's a lady, has, I think, hit the nail right on the head. Here it is, quote, a $33 billion with a B commitment in funds to Africa and $17.6 billion with a B for the veterans. My question is, why are the people in Africa more important to our country's leader than our brave veterans? And that really is a poignant question. I saved that. It was in the paper a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. I saw it.
And it points a question out that we're giving away money that we can't afford because we're borrowing that at a huge interest rate and paying billions of interest per week, and we're giving it to Africa, but we're not doing anything to help our people here.
Absolutely. Well, number one, okay, let's get back to the Constitution.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the U.S. Constitution about foreign aid. Zero.
That's right. I agree with you.
Ron Paul was the leader in saying, cut off this foreign aid. Have we bought any in your lifetime, in my lifetime, and we're getting up there with a little bit gray hair now, so I can guarantee you we haven't bought one friend with our foreign aid.
There you go. You said something very key, buying friends. And Obama with his apology tours, and Obama with his let's give him this, let's give him that. I don't really want to buy friends because those are not true friends. And we have an apology tour to where we're getting down on bended knee and saying we're sorry for everything as far as our past, our history, our transgressions. I don't want to apologize for anything. I don't know what your thoughts are.
No, absolutely. We have nothing to apologize. You know,
except help everybody.
We again have the greatest country that's ever existed. If the world would adopt our Constitution and in some countries have tried, but most of the people live under some kind of a form of dictatorship, and we're really close in this country because they control health care, control education, control the news media, and if they get gun control, which they're working on, I mean, those are the four tenets of a dictatorship. And I can guarantee you that, we're not far away from that. And folks, with all the regulations, you talk about privacy, I tell you, most socialists that are promoting it don't even know what free enterprise is because they've been brought up in these liberal universities, including the editors of our local paper here. I mean, good grief.
We're going to take a little break, and I got to send it back over to our main studios. But what you just touched on, I want you to give me a real short answer on this, Adrian. Martial law, gun control, etc. I'm looking at things as a journalist most of the time on this program. I have to, and I never will put anything on the air that is not verified with bona fide facts. But when you look at Obama, and you look at some of the callers and listen to some of the callers that I've had on this program, be really, really afraid. And you've heard them call in and say, gee, with martial law, and Obama could do this, and Obama could declare maybe we're not going to let people out to the polls and everything. We're looking at a very scary time to where our Constitution could be almost null and void.
Well, you're right, and of course they're still pushing to have a constitutional convention, and our Speaker of the House over here definitely said he would not bring that up in the last session. He didn't. He was true to his word. He meant that quote on your station when I asked him when I called in.
Yes, I remember.
And Scott Bedke, to his credit, we're not going to touch the Constitution. We're going to bring it up because, believe me, if they ever get their hands on the Constitution, well, it's totally done.
It's done.
It's really done.
It'll be rendered ineffective.
I mean, and basically they're not abiding by it now, but it's still in place.
We got to take a break. Dr. Adrian Arp will be back for the next half hour. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. We'll be right back.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Adrian and I were just talking here in the studio, and it's a little cooler today. Don't mention global warming to us because it is much cooler in the studio. Good morning, and we're back with Dr. Adrian Arp on the program. Dr. Arp, you are, and you stated so in the first half hour, constitutionalist, and you really believe in everything that I'm holding in this document right now. Our founding fathers, and I'll say this and I'd like you to respond, I think were far, far beyond their years of knowledge when they established the Constitution as a document that would serve this great country for well over 200 years, and I want it left alone because it's the best of any country's Constitution.
There's never been a collection of outstanding men. They were still men. They're not perfect, but believe me, they knew they had a destiny. They could feel the inspiration of God to bring forth something that was unique in the history of mankind, and they accomplished that. And it wasn't a perfect document because of and it wouldn't have come about. They had to make some compromises on the slavery issue, which is a big point of contention. Also, the big states versus the small states, and so forth. But it gives you pretty much the Madison sat up front, took notes all day long, and about ruined his health, writing those notes at night while they were fresh in his mind as to what happened, so he could go back through. And he wouldn't eat, he wasn't eating properly, and so forth, not getting a lot of sleep, and come back the next day. He was considered the father of the U.S. Constitution.
Right.
But I've got a 2-volume set. It's extensive about what they knew about this so-called myth or hoax of the separation of church and state. They did not want a national denomination like the Church of England, the Anglican Church. They certainly wanted religion. In the Northwest Ordinance of 1887, when new states would come in, there were 3 things they wanted in school: religion, knowledge, and morality.
Which leads me to the next subject.
Sure.
And that, of course, is Common Core education. I've stated on the air many, many times, for as much as I've read about the indoctrination and inception of Common Core education, I still have more negatives than any positives about the program. And it seems like I'm not alone. I have talked to many people that are school board members. I've had some on the air from the state of Indiana that does not want Common Core. Also, I have some people coming on from Louisiana. Bobby Jindal, the governor of Louisiana, is very much against Common Core. What is and why is there a huge push for government control of Common Core education?
This is top-down indoctrination. This is not coming. Supposedly, we're told that the Governors Association came together and it's a bottom-up, grassroots program to improve education. It's indoctrination and a dumbing down. That sums it up.
Now, when you say that, indoctrination and dumbing down, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. And why do you say that? That's an indoctrination first and then a dumbing down. Where do you get your proof?
Well, the dumbing down part, I'll start on that one, is if you and I have both seen the math,
Oh boy.
Just the math part alone is unbelievable. I mean,
I don't know if I'd say it's a vagary. It's more vagary than anything else. Am I wrong?
Well, Zeb, instead of you getting out here, leaving your studio, going get to your pickup, you're going to go walk around your property and then get in your pickup
That's
to go
a good
someplace
analogy.
because to get the answer.
That's a good analogy.
It's just you
got to go in circles.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. That's the description.
I agree with that.
That Glenn Beck's 2-hour presentation on Common Core, which I guess is now on his program, but Common Core, the literature part, they've done away with the traditional literature that you and I were brought up with. It was mostly, a lot of it was very uplifting and so forth, and probably some of it still is, but a lot of it's just flat pornographic.
Yeah.
Just flat pornographic. So, from that standpoint, the dumbing down part, or the indoctrination part, getting back to that, Common Core ties into Agenda 21. Okay? It promotes global warming as man-caused. CO2 is the problem, okay? And that's part of the indoctrination that comes into the whole program.
I see.
The whole thing about is globalization, world citizenship, nation borders don't exist anymore. Of course, they almost don't now in this, with what's happening, as you talked about earlier with your guest, Doug Johnson there, and so forth. But they're also... The Common Core brings about 400 data points each month for each kid.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible that they seemingly, the way it's been sold to the administrators, and of course the Gates Foundation put tremendous amount of money into this thing.
I guess bottom line is, we can ramble on about this, but I am not in favor of a centralized government theme of education. And
right, it takes away local control.
That's exactly right.
The school board will be just, basically hats at a meeting, or bodies at a
what
meeting.
you said about the math problems, and I've seen some of those math problems, and if there's any math teachers out there that want to dispute this, bring it over and show me. But one of the math problems I saw was so vague, I'll go back to that word, to get the answer I had to go in almost circles around it, like going around a cornfield to get to an alfalfa field. And why? I mean, expediency and learning to get the right answer, in my opinion, should be the proper way of doing things.
Right. They're saying, well, they need to know how they got the answer, and I'm thinking, 10 times 10 is still 100.
And you know the answer, and you know how you got the answer.
It's just multiplication. It's just basic math. But before I forget, we're going to have the Citizens for Excellence in Education. An ad hoc committee has been formed in the Magic Valley. Are going to present why repeal Common Core. So write this date down: Saturday, September the 13th at 2 p.m. Valerie Candelaria, who's been going state, county to county, and major town to major town, will present a program at the KMVT community room. And you come in the north side. I think most people will know where that's at. 1100 Blue Lakes Boulevard North. You'll learn why Common Core is bad. Educational program for your students and how to go about getting it repealed in the state of Idaho.
Okay, now, have you, I'm just going to ask you some off-the-cuff questions about this. Have you had a chance to sit and visit with educators at various elementary, high schools, etc.? And what has been their response to you about the application of Common Core?
Well, it's just getting started, so a lot of it they really don't have. My daughter-in-law from Ohio, by the way, is a school teacher, and what they've been doing is they're kind of bringing it in piecemeal, and so it's really, they haven't really got into it full tilt. But here's the whole kicker: they have what they call this high stakes testing. Now you got to figure out somebody's going to make some money on this thing, and they hope that it's so complicated that the students won't pass these tests the first time around, and you're going to be teaching to the test. Homeschoolers out there, if you're listening, you're going to be involved in this too. You better be fighting Common Core. You're going to say, I'm not involved in this. if your student doesn't pass those tests, they're not going to be able to even get into college.
Well, see, and this is something I said 2 years ago on this program, and I believe you were on one of the shows we talked about it, is the coordination and the correlation of homeschooling now versus the school system. If the application of Common Core is accepted, how is a homeschooler going to ever basically tread water?
Yeah, the homeschoolers are going to be affected, but they're charging anywhere from $40 to $46 per student per test. So you've got a classroom of 30 students. What is that going to cost the school district?
Over $1,200.
$1,200. Yeah. Just for one test. So somebody's going to make a lot of money on this. So you don't think the Gates are put up all this money that they don't think there's going to be a payback someplace? Oh my gosh, you're going to be pretty naive not to think that.
Well, I want to cover some other subjects before we get done. And one of the things I wanted to get into this morning, and I'm going to do the weather forecast first, is I want to come in and have you discuss control. That's the 7-letter word that we've talked about many times on this program. We're seeing more control, whether it's gun control, we're seeing population control, we're seeing living control, we're seeing economic control.
Agenda 21.
And Agenda 21. Stand by. Ladies and gentlemen, our weather forecast this hour is brought to you by our dear friends over at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, where they're selling taste one bite at a time. This is a locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years. And believe me, we had Don on the phone with us this last week, and what a great job. And he loves what he's doing, and believe me, he believes that he's doing everything just right. Guaranteed, everything they sell is just delicious. So stop over and check it out, or give them a call, 324-7657, Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, selling taste one bite at a time. And now here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hey everybody, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. A very nice day for today, wouldn't you say, chaps? Should be very nice and sunny throughout much of the day. Temperature about a high of 70. Overnight low in the 40s. And more of the same tomorrow, just like today. So you have a bloody good day and enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
Thank you very much, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. Selling taste one bite at a time. Adrian, we got about 9 minutes left here, and I want to talk about Agenda 21 and control. And there still are many, many people that I've talked to around the United States when I've had them on as guests, etc. They don't realize the seriousness, the danger of Agenda 21, and basically it's coming into more application every day, thanks to the EPA.
Yeah, the EPA is bringing that about through executive orders. And before I forget, Rand Paul, write this number down and get hold of our senators and congressmen. Rand Paul has Senate 82 and House of Representatives 410, a bill called the Separation of Powers Restoration Act. Separation of Powers Restoration Act. This would prevent presidential executive orders that create new law are null and void when they violate the Constitution. So the fact is that they're not passed by the lawmaking. Article 1, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution says that all laws are to be passed by a Congress consisting of a Senate and a House of Representatives. And our president is just, writing cell phone and a pen, and he's doing this thing, and the EPA's got 13,000 employees using billions of dollars.
Let's stop right there and talk about the EPA. And you've mentioned it many times on this program. But really, they did not get the congressional approval and or mandates to be in business like they are and have the power that they do. So why don't we just shut them down?
We could if we had any backbone. I wanted to say something else, but
I know you scared me so bad right there.
That look on your face.
Whew, I got white.
But they don't have the, gumption to take on. They're basically jellyfish. They could cut off the EPA's funding, and I've asked them to do that, and we need to just keep pounding and pounding. The EPA is eating out the substance of our country because of the regulations. They are implementing the United Nations Agenda 21, which just celebrated about a year ago their 20th anniversary. And what does that promote? And I'll just go through a few of these things real quick. They mandate civilian national service. control of the size of the family, cutting the amount of goods and services you buy, and of course cutting our energy, the war on coal, and all of that. They're blaming CO2, which is needed for life. Without CO2, we don't breathe and we don't eat food, folks.
Why is
Did you realize that CO2, our plants, we only have 400 parts per million, which is 4 parts out of 10,000. Our plants want 1,500. Without additional fertilizer, we could grow a tremendous amount of crops, and people do that in greenhouses under small situations.
do not understand why an educated society does not understand the values of CO2, etc., and necessary for a living and thriving populace and economy. I just don't understand it.
Well, it's just if they have an agenda, the agenda is control. What you mentioned, that control. Okay, Agenda 21 eliminates private property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing a real influx on that.
One of the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto.
That's right.
It denies you access to wildlands. We talked about the Wildlands Project. They control 50% of the U.S. into a game preserve.
Yep.
Government control of all of the, timber and so forth. Equal rights. In other words, redistribute the wealth. They basically comes down to they want control of everything and everybody on the planet, your daily life. And believe me, do we think we have any privacy now?
No, not anymore. And the thing was said the other day, and I got a letter from Governor Otter's office, and it really was true. With the over 5 inches of rain that we had here in the month of August, we had puddles, we had little lakes and little running tributaries, etc., all over with the water. And basically, the EPA wants to even control those.
Yeah, and I just gave you an article that was in one of the magazines that you can keep for reference. Yeah, they want to control all of our water, even the little puddles on your own private property. And you had the speaker, you had the guy from southeast Wyoming here, where he'd gotten all the state permits, and they were fining him $75,000.
Andy Johnson.
See, and they're just basically trying to eliminate private property. They're stealing this, people. And they use the government lawyers that we pay for to eat out our substance, and this is totally unconstitutional. The EPA was never passed by an act of Congress. Get that 3 heads out there. The EPA was an executive order from day one. William Ruckelshaus was the first executive director of the EPA. He came from the World Wildlife Fund, which is basically the titular head of all of the environmental organizations, including the ones here in Idaho.
That's right.
Defenders of wildlife and all this and so forth. But they're the ones, he with a stroke of a pen will get the award for being the greatest committing genocide because he banned DDT, which got a bad rap, and folks, DDT was not doing all the things that it was. But I can guarantee you, if we don't stop the EPA implementing this thing, our power bills will double in a short order.
Real short question and answer on this. Andy Johnson is the man you're talking about over at Fort Bridger, Wyoming, and we had him on our program. He's been featured on all the bigger newscasts across the country. He went through Wyoming's state permits and did everything he thought according to legality, build a little farm pond that would be not only for his livestock, but his kids to play in, and then also for the wildlife in the area. And it didn't do anything as far as doing any damage to contributory rivulets that go out of there into the main streams. It didn't do any damage whatsoever. And the EPA came in and said that they were going to fine him $75,000 a day, and he's fighting it and going it all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, we have had some court cases as of late that have gone to the Supreme Court and have come back, like the one up in Coeur d'Alene, that have ruled in favor of the people and put the tail between the legs of the EPA. But the cost.
Yeah, the cost. The private citizen has to furnish his cost and so forth. So the bottom line is that, this whole Agenda 21, as I said, and it gets down to the point where, folks, we've got to get out of the UN. Zeb's seen the Twisted Barrel. I haven't seen that.
I have been there and stood next to it and had my picture taken next to it.
And And I hope you're not promoting that. But I'm just kidding.
No, I know you're kidding it, but the reason I had my picture taken by that twisted gun barrel at the United Nations is twofold. Number one, I wanted to prove to people that, yes, it is there. Yes, that's their doctrine. And number two, that as much as I talk about it on my radio program, it's a thing to be feared.
Absolutely. It's not only that, they're the ones that are basically on top of this whole educational program, the gun control programs. They want to control the seas. They want to control our water. They want to control everything. And I mean everything. And they're doing it piecemeal, and they took down off their website. They used to have a deal how far the sustainable development.
Yeah.
When you hear sustainable development, is this wind generation and solar sustainable? Believe me, folks, when you hear this green energy, we're going to do away with coal. 40 to 45% of our nation's power is from coal.
That's right.
It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, and we're going to end up in caves burning buffalo dung to keep warm.
And the whole thing is the cost of energy is going to get so high. We're going to be, they're bringing us back to third world status. That's right. And the immigration's all part of that.
That's right. Hey, by the way, folks, Dr. Arp on the program. We're going to wrap things up momentarily, but I do want to remind you about a big tire sale. Big tire sale going on right now at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh my goodness, all 7 locations with the best of tires, like the Open Country AT, the Wildcat AT, the Ultra Z900, the Eclipse. I mean, tire after tire, tread design after tread design for your type of driving. Please stop in and see them today. And the best of all, the custom wheels to dress up your four-wheeled wonder, along with the best in brake service. I keep using the word best because that's what everything is. The best of for you. Whether it's brake service, shocks and struts and front end alignments, it's all the best at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Adrian, kind of a recap. The president, and I'm just going to say this quickly, I've only got 2 minutes left, did not say one single word yesterday in regards to the horrendous, terrifying beheading of another American journalist. And I pose this to you. How much more is going to happen before this president will be forced into showing some leadership?
I don't know. It just seems like he's just an empty suit and so forth. I would like to just make the announcement again. There's a website, commoncorefails.com. Commoncorefails.com is a really good website on Common Core. Commoncorefails.com. And on the 13th at the KMVT Community Room, why repeal Common Core? There's a speaker coming in that's been really up to date on this. The Citizens for Excellence in Education are presenting this that Saturday, 13th of September, 2 p.m., KMVT Community Room, 1100 Blue Lakes Boulevard North in Twin Falls. Put that on your calendar and plan to attend. And if they want to get in touch with me, they can do that.
All right. And you, of course, have been very supportive of this program, and we're trying to bring out all the stories that are going on in the news, whether it's Common Core, constitutional conventions, where they're trying to alter everything that our good forefathers have put together. I thank you for your diligence. You've done a great job in making sure that you bring people aware of what's going on.
Well, I appreciate your program, and we need more talk radio programs like yourself. And people, this is the greatest country in the world. I'll end with a quote from Ben Franklin. If we give up liberty for security, we will deserve neither and lose both.
There you go.
That's from Ben Franklin, and boy, he was a great American.
Dr. Adrian, please come back and see us in the future.
We'll do. Thanks
Appreciate
a lot, Zed.
that. Thank you very
being
much.
on the program. Everybody have a great day.
Excellent. Tomorrow on the program, it's Thursday, and we've got a lot of different guests coming on the show, and including our segments like Cassia County School Days, and we're going to have an interview with Jerry Zollinger of Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch, their big sale, and then, of course, coming up on 911. I want to remind everybody that we're going to have a special day over at Ramsey Heating and Electric for Hats Off to Farmers and Patriots Day. That is next Thursday, the 11th. Put that on your calendar. Lots of great door prizes. George Mass is going to be cooking breakfast early in the morning over there. Wow. Everybody be there. Until tomorrow at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch. We'll see you then. God bless. The way things were are the way things ought to be.